The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Welcome to another edition of Table Topics. And if you're watching us and it's not a Wednesday night, remember you're watching a repeat show because our new show goes on your TV screen every Wednesday at 7 o'clock at night. So you know, if it's not a Wednesday night, you're watching a repeat show. So please come back next Wednesday and we will have a brand new show for you. Don't forget to stay following us on the Facebook page and our YouTube channel. We still have good viewers over there too, and people even out of the country watching us there. So we, believe it or not, it's been 9 years. It's been 9 years that I started an experience. 9 years, and we on for 9 years. So with me today, I don't have John, but I even have a better company today. He's not listening to us, so it's fine. I have Dave Dennis and Sandy Dennis. Know this couple for many, many years, and all love to talk to them always about what it's on the works for our city. They don't need introduction. Everybody knows them and know how much they have their hearts to the city and how much they try to improve our day by day on this city. So when Sandy contacted me to be a guest on our neighborhood meeting at the end of this month, remember the last Wednesday of the month, at Fonseca School, I told her, why not be on the show? Just come on the show. It's been a while since we sit at the show, and you can tell us, you know, you have half an hour to talk to us all about your projects and accomplishments and future projects, because we always have those too. Sandy, so how you guys been?
Good. It's nice to see you again. Nice to be back.
Yes.
Studio looks great since the last time we were
Oh,
here.
really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's all this new technology. Yeah.
Looks really good.
Yes.
So we're happy to be back.
It was a good investment.
Yes.
And let's hope that more money is coming this way.
I hope. Well, this is definitely worth the investment.
I hope you get a lot of APA money.
Oh, yes.
I do too.
I'm not going to get any. Probably the school will.
Well, they should. They should.
So, Sandy, one of the projects that you mentioned to me that you would like to talk about is our traditional plants, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
how are we doing with that project?
We are doing wonderful with that project. Hortensia, we call it.
Yes.
And we meet frequently. Dave Lalimer is still with us. He was the founder. He brought the idea to David and I, and we embraced it when he came because we were working on a similar project years before that. And when he came to us, we thought, you know what? His had a little bit of a twist to it, but we liked it, and we told him that, yep, we would embrace it and work with him on it. And we've been doing that for how many years now, Dave?
Oh, it's going to be...
It's before COVID, 7, 8 years now?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's 7 or 8 years, but so COVID was what, 2021? A couple of years before. So probably 5 years. Probably close, somewhere around 5 years, I think.
Yeah, I'm thinking at least 5, if not more.
Yeah.
So one of the places that I see coming back constantly every year, it's around City Hall.
Absolutely.
So how that's coming?
That's coming along really well. We started that project by experimenting, putting the plants in pots. Last year, we decided to plant them permanently in the containers around City Hall and all up Old 2nd Street, because that's part of our project. We worked on Old 2nd Street years ago with a mass development grant with the city planning department. So we've got a fondness to Old 2nd Street, so that's why we expanded it up that area as well. We'll see this year how it did. We'll see how the plants grow and if they've thrived through the winter. And if it worked, you'll see more of that in the large planters throughout the city. We also are doing it, it primarily was to start on the waterfront and downtown City Hall because of the connection to the Azores and our relationship with that country. On the waterfront, we've done all of the Battleship Cove area. We've worked with Mass DOT, and last year we worked with the Sheriff's Department, and we have them all planted up on the Mass Connector. And we also did our interpretive boards, our historical interpretive boards. It's kind of an oral history of the city of Fall River. So that was done last year. Now this year, we want to expand in some of the smaller areas around there. And we're also working on, Dave, another exciting opportunity in the Flint Neighborhood Association area, which is why we want to come to your meeting and kind of update you on what we want to do there and another partnership that we're working on in your neighborhood association. So we want to tell you what we're doing there, get your feedback, kind of get the neighborhood association engaged in that project as well, because the Flint is growing.
Yes.
There's some new opportunities I hear going on there. We attended that workshop. When did we attend that workshop? Last year, 2 years ago?
Yeah, last meeting was August.
2 years ago.
August, okay.
Oh, well,
August of
no, when
last
they
year.
originally announced $1 million, it was before that. It was
Oh yeah, no,
about 2
the
years
$1 million
ago, isn't it?
from Roderick's was
Yes.
it was
Couple of
before
years.
COVID.
Was
It was
it?
before
before?
COVID.
Was it
Yeah,
really?
Yes, it was before
that's-
COVID.
But we went to that meeting. Where was that
Time goes by.
meeting?
That's the project for the
Our Lady of
renovation
Light-
of
Our Lady of Lights.
A Lady of
Yeah.
Light, that's
yeah.
right, that's
Lady
where
of
we
That
went.
was August.
Okay, yes, because we all had input and feedback, and we got
No, that was, I'm sorry, that was, Our Lady of Light was February.
okay,
of
yeah,
last year.
last
It was-
year.
yeah, I was gonna say,
Okay,
it
Yeah, it was
It was
February
3
of
years
last
ago. I was
year.
like, wow.
Because the second and last meeting for that project was done across from the post office on Pleasant Street, the old bank, Portuguese bank.
Yes,
there, building.
yes.
Yeah.
And that one was in August, and that was
Okay.
the last one.
All right, okay, so the last meeting we went to, because it was a public meeting,
Yes.
was at Lady of Light.
Yeah.
Yes.
So.
Well, that was the announcement, I think.
Yes.
That they announced it.
Yeah, so we were kind of excited about that, and this opportunity came our way because I and David have been talking about, for the past, I can't even remember. I think it's been 8 years that we've been talking with the city about land to expand this project because we wanted to find a new location for the tree farm because
Yes.
they're on city property, the water department property, and we know that that's going to have to be moved at some point. So we wanted to work with the city to have them move to a location where we could be with the hydrangeas as well, and it would be a
How
nice
much land do you
relationship.
need for that project?
Oh boy, we would need, how much land would you say we need for that project? I mean,
I mean,
in a perfect
area?
world,
an acre or so.
In a
at
perfect
at
world, an
at a
acre.
minimum, at a minimum. To do it right.
Yeah.
To do it
Yeah.
right, I mean, you could probably do it less, but it's not going to be what we envision. But at least an acre.
and we did apply for ARPA funds for it. We're still kind of waiting to see where that goes. And if we get that, we can expand the project.
Yeah.
But, we'll wait and see on that. But it's our hope that, lots of money's being distributed, that we'll get our tiny little piece of it for it's a long-term sustainable project. And it's a
Yes.
great project for the city. There's many, many collaborative opportunities and partnerships that can be put in place in with this project. So when this opportunity came to us, we were excited because it's in the old downtown, the Flint.
Yeah, yeah,
David,
yeah,
you can
yeah,
speak to
yeah,
that part
yeah,
of it because
yeah.
you were born and raised
Yeah,
here.
no, it's always been thought about as the even in the heyday of the downtown Fall River. That was always considered the other downtown. I went there many times with my mother shopping, and then of course, as everybody in the area knows, they put the highway through, and that kind of killed all the traffic that used to go through there. And of course, that was a turning point for the Flint.
Yeah, yeah.
And a lot of the old families have moved out. Unfortunately, Notre Dame burnt down. And, so the neighborhood, the neighborhood's changed, and there are way too many empty storefronts that need to be,
Yes,
filled.
and you're right. And
I wish they-
the way I see it, the neighborhood changed, but what didn't change is the potential.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, no, I
You know,
absolutely.
the potential that we had
Yes.
50 years ago, we still have the same potential.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah, and that's why, I think at the meeting people were talking about, gee, it's great, it's $1 million, but you know as well as I do that it'll take an awful lot more money than $1 million, to do what needs to be needed up there. But it's a start. It's
Yes.
a start, and hopefully they'll use it wisely. They'll do stuff that's sustaining. Some of it may be cosmetic, but hopefully some of that money will be, to build a, foundation up there so that, eventually the storefronts will improve and,
Yeah.
Be able to support local businesses up there. And I've always said if you open businesses, people will come.
Yeah.
Because they still have a big, it's a big population up there. Again, it's changed.
And
but
and one thing that we have there still, it's a good foot traffic.
yeah.
You know,
Yes.
which makes a big difference for business. That's the difference from downtown. Downtown have these spaces ready to move in. Okay, versus Pleasant Street that you need to fix the buildings
Yes.
before you move in.
Yes.
So that's the difference they have. But when it comes to foot traffic, I think Pleasant Street has a lot of more foot
Well, the
traffic.
nice part when you say they
And
need
parking,
fixing up,
and
you
parking.
have more. You do. You have more parking in the Flint, but you have more creative opportunities because people can actually put their mark on that space. Whereas, like you said, the downtown, they're all ready to move in. Well, with the Flint, because it's a blank canvas,
Yes.
you can really express your creativity in what you want to do in those buildings in the Flint. And,
Yes.
and I think that with this funding and these opportunities, it could be a springboard for a new renaissance in the Flint
Yes.
area.
Yes. And I mean, and even for artists.
Absolutely.
Because some of those storefronts are small storefronts.
Yes, they're
They're not
affordable.
like big enough to support a big amount of a business. But for a small entrepreneur that wants to work with an open door and painting or do whatever he wants to do, I think that we have those small stores, and the foot traffic, it's right upstairs.
Yeah.
Carlos, you have a giant asset
Yes.
in that area, which is one of my visions in the Flint, and that's that theater.
Yes.
That Strand Theater is an opportunity. It needs a huge investor.
Yes.
It needs maybe an angel investor, someone that will come into this city and pour several $1 million. But David and I have been in that building several times. We've showed that building to many people, and I don't think I can ever walk in there and not have that wow factor with me.
Yes.
I can walk in and see a complete mess, but when I close my eyes,
Yes.
I have a whole different vision of what that will look like.
And probably going 10 years maybe, I was very happy because I think you had a lot of hope
I did.
with that visit that you
I
did
did.
with an investor.
Well,
That-
I might have another piece of hope coming
Yeah.
shortly.
Yeah.
I can't promise anything, but I might have someone that wants to look at it
Yeah.
again. So
because
that's
that
still
entire building is like you could have, because nobody makes money today with theaters.
right.
That's
right.
that we need
Yeah.
to mentalize that. But you have a space next door which belongs to the same
That's
property.
right.
Yeah, that's
We've
where
been
the
in
White's,
That's where
White's
you can
restaurant used to-
generate the money
That's where the original White's
to support
restaurant.
to support.
But how about this? How about building a small boutique hotel there, and then people can come for a weekend? I mean, I can think of many weekend packages that I could put together for someone. And people will laugh when they say, "Oh yeah, who's going to come and spend a weekend in Fall River?" Let me tell you, I could put together 3 packages right now where people would be able to spend an entire weekend in the city of Fall River and always be busy. Easily, easily. We have that many assets in our city.
And that's one thing that that I say every time that we talk about projects and tourism. It's a big talk about tourism, but it's like it's like a tire spinning.
I mean, you know, we've been doing it since we started. Well, he's been doing it since he was on the city council, for goodness sakes.
And when I see now, and I see organizations popping up that want to do something that you guys already been doing for years.
Yeah.
Everybody has their own spaces.
Yeah.
But we should never forget the work that was done and what it's already, the seeds that's already on the ground needs water.
Exactly.
Okay?
No, I
needs
agree.
water.
Listen,
So it's
I agree.
easier. It's easier for us to put water on the seeds. The work it's already done.
Yeah.
The dirt it's already fixed, and the seed it's already there.
Yeah, I
Then
agree.
instead of looking for seeds, what we going to put on the ground?
Well, everybody
You
wants
know?
to. Everybody wants to keep reinventing the wheel. There's no need to reinvent the wheel.
Yep.
A lot of that groundwork has already been done, and those conversations have been had, going back years. And again, that's really how Creative Arts Network started. It was from my time on the city council, recognizing when I got off, and of course recognizing that nobody was doing this work in the city. There was no go-to organization. There's no gatekeeper for arts, culture, and tourism in the city. There simply wasn't. And at the time when I had I proposed an ordinance to do something, the city council didn't want to support it at the time, and I'm sure they all had their reasons. But here we are. That was 2012, 14. We're way over, heading toward 10 years. Now, there seems to be some movement in the city to get that done, and I applaud that. But the city has tremendous amounts of potential. It's just not coordinated. There's no organization. There's nobody that's doing that kind of work. Now, there are some organizations out there that have popped up in the last few years. But again, obviously Creative Arts Network has been doing that for, I think, so we started about 2014, then we became a freestanding nonprofit 2017. So, this work isn't new to us.
Yes.
And it was necessary at the time because there was a tremendous void in the city. Nobody was doing this stuff. Nobody was talking about it. And so, that's really how, Creative Arts Network really was born.
And we've been over the last several, since we've started, we've been marketing, outside the city for years. And we have found, because we do surveys for everything, when we have an event, we'll survey people that come. And what we found is that more than half the people that have attended our events are from outside of the area. So what we've been doing for tourism, we know is working. We know it's working, and we started that with Free Fun Friday how many years ago?
Yep.
When we got involved with that day, and it was all tourism related. We set up the temporary visitors information site, and we surveyed all of the businesses and restaurants after the event to see if they had an uptick in business, and they did.
About 40%.
So, yeah, so they did, and we've continued that throughout our years.
We talk about you guys in different shows, and we always share, me and John, we always share the same opinion, and some guests sometimes that we talk about the work that you've been doing for years is when an organization pops up and wants to do something but needs to get paid, that's a job.
Oh, absolutely, it's a
Versus
job.
that's when you guys come in, which these people have been working for free for the city,
None of us get a pay.
committing themselves for the city for free. So somebody comes, yes, I mean, I can just open a business, put a title on, and give me $100,000
Hey,
to
I'd
pay
love
me,
it.
and I'm going to try to invent the wheel, what we're going to do and what band we're going to call for a party. You know what I'm saying? So that's when we talk about you guys is the fact that you've been in here, you have the information. You have the answers for a lot of the questions. You have the experience. You're not asking for salary
No, we
because
don't
you've
get
been,
paid. No.
So that's what makes a difference. And so these people come and go. It's just like a business. If they don't make a profit, they shut down. But then we go back to the old.
Well, there's no continuity, there's no consistency, there's no sustainability. See, our track record has shown, and we have sustainability. As little funding as we may get, especially recently over the last few years, we're still self-sustaining. We're very, very, very careful how we spend our money, because and everyone needs to remember, it's taxpayers' money that's funding all of this. Not all of what we get is taxpayer, because we go out and find other funding sources, so not all of our funding is taxpayer funding. But a lot of it for art and culture, it's taxpayers' money. You know, so we try to be very careful and very frugal how we spend it. And the one thing we don't do is we do not pay a salary, whether it be for our board, for our no one gets a salary.
One thing
we
that
pay our artists.
One thing that I need to squeeze here is when we talk and the question comes up. Trolleys.
You know, Carlos? All right.
That's the golden egg.
This is only a half hour. This is only a half-hour show, right?
We have what, 6 minutes to talk about trolleys.
Yeah.
Trolley.
We
Give us a call. We'll tell you the story.
We identified, first of all, Creative Arts Network was going to buy a trolley. However, we wanted to buy a handicapped accessible trolley.
Which is ticking on the future.
Is significantly more expensive than a trolley. And the reason that we did that is because we did many events that we would use the city trolleys. And we saw the night of our events, you had individuals with disabilities that could not get on there to experience what everybody else could experience. It just isn't fair. You know, everyone should have the same opportunity to experience and enjoy art and culture. So we did, and we were invited to a meeting to get funding for it, and they were willing to give us half the funding. They would have funded probably the whole thing, but push comes to shove if you want to finish the story this way.
Well, so we were invited to go over, talk to this organization. We went over, and you know, they said, well, we'll consider the. It was $150,000, and they were going to give us $75,000 to make up.
They wanted us to match it.
And they wanted us to match it, and so you know that was fine. And then a few weeks later, we met with them 2 or 3 times. We talked to them about Creative Arts Network, all the stuff that we were doing, and then we got an email that said, well, we're not going to fund it.
So we tried finding other funding sources, which is very, very difficult for transportation and for trolleys. We did go to a couple of state organizations that had funded them in the past, but for some reason they didn't want to fund the one that we were wanted to purchase. So we've still been looking. We were going to buy it, we were going to operate it, we were going to pay for everything, we were going to pay for where it's parked. It went nowhere. It just didn't get the support that we needed to buy that trolley.
So for that trolley, what is the plugs holding?
Money. We need $175,000, and yes, it's expensive.
So and this is you need to start from scratch because you lost the
absolutely.
The commitment that you had for the half of the trolley.
Yes. Okay. So $175,000 is a lot of money to try and raise for one trolley. And I'm adamant about the fact that it needs to be handicapped accessible.
Yes.
Because it just isn't fair that someone with a disability cannot access.
That will qualify for APA?
I'm sure it qualifies for APA funding.
So and who has to apply for that?
And I guess any nonprofit, we could apply for it.
Yes.
You know, we could apply for it. Any nonprofit really could apply for it. The city could buy a couple of handicapped accessible trolleys if they wanted to. I just don't see any reason buying just a regular trolley at this point, because Fall River has a very high number, because we did all the research. We research what we do. We have a very high number of disabled people in our city, one of the highest, I think, in the Commonwealth. If we don't get a handicapped trolley, we shouldn't get any at all. That's how I feel.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm so passionate about it.
I know.
I know you are too. I am too.
I know, because I do a lot of projects, especially with kids,
and it would be perfect.
And everything will be perfect for that case.
And we can make it self-sustaining. I mean, you know,
Oh,
obviously we're a small organization, but you know, we had submitted a plan on how it could be, self-sustaining. I mean, there'd be some rentals and stuff like that, but for the most part, we wouldn't be looking to, make any money as long as we could maintain it, as long as we could keep running it. And make it available.
It's another good thing for the
Well,
city.
it's another thing too.
We would have done tours. The idea was we had tours all set out. In fact, we had worked with Bristol
BCC.
Community College. We asked the students in one of the programs here, the events planning. They came up with a bunch of tours for us. We told them what we wanted. They came back. We had about 3 or 4 different tours that we could have run. Battleship. The parks. The Olmsted Parks. Historical Society. Lizzie Borden. I mean, there's plenty in the city to do with them. We could have packaged these tours, we'll just package simple day tours, someplace in the morning, lunch, and then someplace at night, and maybe even, patronize one of the restaurants at night before they leave, because we have bus tours coming out here all the time.
Yes.
And it would have been ideal for the city. We have a historic district in the city where we live that's basically untapped. So we could have done all those kinds of things.
And
it would
your
have been great
idea
for
with
the
the
city.
monuments. You
Yes,
could have done
I
a
mean, we
monument
could
tour.
have the monuments.
I mean, that would have been perfect.
And believe me, and you can make money out of weddings and stuff like
And-
that.
and we
you
could
can
have
rent
self-
them.
yeah, we
You
could have
can rent them for
self-sustained
service.
the trolley
We
easily.
could have paid for it. We submitted a plan to the organization that we went to, one of the financial organizations in the city. We submitted a plan, and unfortunately, what came out of that really was two new arts and cultural organizations. That's what came out of it.
Yeah.
But that's been a goal of ours for a number of years. I mean, I would say, I don't know,
8 years. It was
8
before
years.
COVID.
It was way before it.
It was before COVID.
Yeah.
So I definitely need to bring you guys back in a couple of weeks.
Okay, we'd love to come back.
Let us know
There's
what's
so
going on with
much.
exactly.
The cultural
what-
district.
Yes.
We have all kinds of new tourism and marketing literature that we're
I would
working
love to bring
on.
you guys back and
We have a short
and
list
go.
of things that are going on here. We have a little short list
We have a
here.
lot of events. We have a mystery dinner show. We have a music series. We have the Mass Memory Road Show, which I would love to talk about.
Where can people? Do you have
Our
that
website.
on your
Our
website?
CreativeArtsNetwork.org.
Or our Facebook page, CAN Fall River.
Okay, so what I will do is when I share the show on Facebook, on YouTube, I will tag the organization link.
Yes.
Because
yes.
this way people can just
Go
click
right on
there and go straight
And
to.
our Facebook page is more updated than the website.
Okay.
Because the website's just, we use a third party, so there's a lag time.
And you still have the agenda for the events, right? There, for the events. in the
Yes, our
city?
community calendar.
The calendar.
We can talk about that too.
The self-posting, so people can go up there and post events as long as they're legitimate events. They put the event up there. It comes to us as long as it's a legitimate event.
Believe it or not.
And it goes up on our calendar. It doesn't cost anybody anything.
New
Yeah.
Bedford is always self-posting their events on our calendar.
Yeah.
And people in Rhode Island are self-posting their events on our calendar.
Yeah.
Now we're just going to get the Fall River people to
I need
post.
to put a lot of my events there too. So we're going to wrap up for this week, but we promise that Dennis's will come back again for another show.
Do a couple of
Have a
hours
great
next time.
Thank you.